Hey, what's going on everybody? It's Eric here. This is just a video that I want to make to showcase an asset that I've recently been using in Unity, which I've really been enjoying. And this video isn't supposed to be some official documentation, breakdown, tutorial, or, whatever you may have it. This is more so just I want to showcase what I am using this asset for in my projects, and maybe it will inspire you, or maybe it will show you how you can use it in your projects too. So I believe the backstory for this asset, which is called RealBlend, is that the PolyBrush asset in Unity was sort of soft discontinued, and this developer wanted to make something which was very similar. So they made this asset called RealBlend, and the reason I was looking for it was because I wanted to cut down on the amount of draw calls in my game. And I wanted to, even though my game runs very well, make sure that it stays running very well. And we just remove that load off of the CPU where we can, right? And I also wanted to be able to paint on meshes and get more control over the terrain without having to use Unity's terrain tools. And while I'm sure there is plenty of ways that I could have done that without getting this asset, it was about 20 to 25 bucks, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll pick this up. It looks really cool. There was a great demonstration video, and I want to demonstrate what I'm using it for a lot in my game here. So I've got a little demo scene here, and we're in a very poorly made to scale room, and I have an issue with this room. The issue is that, first of all, the walls are not very detailed. And second of all, there's no door to get to the next room, which is behind it, right? So I don't really have any pre-made prefabs for a door frame. I don't want to make a bunch of different small squares and, waste time with, more cubes or whatever you may have it to make a doorway. And that's where RealBlend is going to come in. So first and foremost, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave this here for now, but I'm going to go to the RealBlend tab, and I'm going to come to the Create tab here. I'm going to set it to Wall XY, and I'm going to get this really nice handy preview in front of me here. And it doesn't really matter if this isn't the size of my door frame, because I can always fix it later, which I'll show you. So let's just do 8 by 8. We're going to make an 8 by 8 wall here. We're going to have the density and vertices just set to 1. I don't need many verts, and if I want more, I can add them later. And I don't have a default material set up yet, but we will get around to doing that. But for now, let's just set it to, I guess, just any random material that I have. And I'm going to hit generate mesh. So I've gone ahead and removed our original door frame here. And as you can see, we now have our new one. Now, obviously, this is more like a plane than it is a thicker style cube, and I haven't really figured out a way to get around that as of yet. So if you do know how I could maybe get around this, leave a comment. I haven't really looked into it, to be honest, but I'm sure it's very easy to do. And now let's go ahead about making that doorway, right? So let's go to the RealBlend tab. We're on Sculpt here, and we're going to go to the Remove tab. And I've got the brush shape set to square, I've got the height set to 3, and the width to 1. And as you can see, just by mousing over the wall we created earlier, we can remove verts from this wall, right? Now, there is the option to add more verts, which we're going to do soon, but that's not really what we want here. So going back to the Remove tab, I'm just going to use this like an eraser, and I'm going to just erase a hole where I would have my door frame. Simple as. Right? Very cool. But let's go ahead and add a little more detail to this door frame, because right now it looks kind of boring. So I'm going to expand my assets panel here, and I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to call this, let's go with RB for RealBlend, and we'll call this detailing. We'll call this detailing material. And when I create my material, I'm going to go to the inspector, and I'm going to click the shader at the top and type in RealBlend. And I'm just going to go with my render pipeline, obviously, which is URP. And when I do that, I'll get some options here. We have surface inputs, and there's going to be a bunch of different layers that I can use for detailing. Again, this isn't going to be a big tutorial. I'm not showing you how to do everything, so don't expect me to break everything down here. I'm just showing you very simply what I'm going to do, which is go to the first texture, and I'll set this to one of my metal textures. I'm not sure exactly which one I'm using on this wall here, but I don't think it really matters for now. I'm also not going to worry about normals or any of the masks for now, even though obviously you would if you were doing this for an actual project. I'll add another layer. And this one, I'm just going to make it, let's go with like a rock texture. And I'll do another layer. and we'll do yet again another rock texture, this one a little more red. All right, great. Now it's time to do some detailing. I'm going to select my doorway, go to the RealBlend tab, go to paint, and I'm going to hit start painting. So you can see that I've got my default texture in the first slot, the first rock texture in the second, and the more reddish one in the third. So I'm going to click on that first rock texture, and I'm just going to start painting on as if I'm detailing this wall. And again, I'm going to do this very shabbily just to show you that this is just the concept, right? I'm not doing this for like a AAA title, obviously. But yeah, I'm just going to paint onto here. Now you can see that as I'm painting, I'm not getting too much control over what I'm painting and where, because the vert count is so low. So I'll go to sculpt here, I'll click on refine, and I'll just make this brush pretty big. We'll go 7.7, and I'm gonna add more verts to my door frame. Maybe too many there, but it's okay. And now when I go back to paint, let's select the red brick this time, hit start painting. And now I'll get a lot more control over where I'm painting and how I'm painting than I was before, because we have way more verts than we did. And actually, if I set the brush really small, I could even do like a little smiley face here if I want, right? Let's add some more verts, why not? Let's just go really silly with it and just add a ton. Now let's check out how precise that smiley face is this time, right? So you can see that the more verts we add, the more control we get. We're done with our door frame. We're into the next area. Now I've got a little problem in this area. I want to have a hole in the floor, but I want it to look natural and not so blocky, right? So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove all of these floors here, and I'm going to go back over to the RealBlend tab, and I'm going to go to create. This time I'm going to do floor XZ. I'm going to go 15, 15 in this case. Actually, let's do 25, 25. I think 15 is too small. And in this case here, I'm going to set the default material, now that I have it, to my RB underscore detailing texture, and I'm going to generate mesh. Okay, and as you can see, I've got my floor right here. I'm not going to bother to fix the tiling here, obviously you would, but now I'm going to make a hole in the floor the same way that we basically did it for our door. So I'm going to go to sculpt, I'm going to go to remove, circle, and I want a circular hole removed. Now, you're going to see the problem. When I try to do this, it's not going to look too great because we don't have enough verts. So for a circular hole, we'll undo our changes there. We're going to want to go to refine, and in the center of this floor, I'm going to increase how many verts I have. Now when I go to remove in the center, you'll see that it looks a lot better. We have some jagged geo here, but obviously this is typically going to be covered up by maybe a cylindrical piece in the middle. And actually, I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But now we have a hole in the floor. We can maybe put some water in the middle, blend out these jagged pieces of geo if we want. But let's cover it up, right? So I've got a little problem here now, and we're going to fix it with RealBlend. We're going to go to create. We're going to select curved wall, and this is really, really sick. So I'm going to go to the width and height. I'm going to set that to 15 on each side. And I'm going to set the curvature to be all the way 360 degrees, so it creates a cylindrical piece. Now I'm going to have to increase the size to make sure it covers the center of the floor here, and I've already got my default material set up. And we can also increase the density of the verts on this if we want to make this a more detailed cylinder. I'm going to leave this at 1 in this case, and I'll go ahead and generate mesh. And as you can see, we've now got that cylinder generated, but we have a problem in that it's not a two-sided material, which is causing some issues. I can actually fix this by going to edit on the RealBlend shader here, and in the graph inspector I'll go ahead and set that to be a both render facing material, and when I go back to my scene it will fix that problem after I save the shader, which would probably be a good idea. So you'll see that now it's fixed that issue for me, and aside from some placement issues, we have something which could act as a centerpiece for the room right here. I can also click on the floor here and help blend in that centerpiece with the rest of the room. Although, as you can see, the lack of verts is making this a little harder than we would like it to be. And I'm not sure what kind of centerpiece would look like that, but I think you get the point on what I'm using RealBlend for primarily as of now. I haven't been using it too much so far. I've only had it for a couple of days, but it's super cool, and I wanted to showcase it not only to let people know about this asset because I don't see it getting enough coverage in my opinion, but also because I don't really know the full ins and outs of it myself yet. So if there's anything with RealBlend that you're aware of that I'm probably not, I'd love to know what you found in the comments below because I'm still learning about this asset myself. And also, I'm just scraping the surface of what you can do with this asset in this video. I'm going to leave a link to the documentation and also the asset store page in the description. So yeah, if you're looking for a pretty cool asset, maybe this will suit your needs, maybe it won't, but either way I wanted to talk about it because I think it's pretty cool. And it's been a little while since I've done some game dev stuff on this channel. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll check you next time.